X marks the spot, everybody.
X marks the spot, guys.
Terrible shadow.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're back down here at Las Vegas Federal Courthouse again. Today's been a good day. We started out with a prayer up there in the lobby of the courthouse, and we have a great crowd here. We have close to 40 people in the courtroom again today, and people as far as from West Virginia today again. Some newcomers that showed up. We did have our first witness today of the defense side since the trial started, and we had a great witness, Shannon Bushman. He took a lot of videos from out there at the standoff during the 11th and 12th, and some of those pictures and stuff were played today, and he was cross-examined by the prosecution pretty heavily. I would say his examination from them took longer than what the defense actually questioned him, but he done very well. He answered the questions professionally, and we're very excited today how things are going. The defense team is on ball this morning. They are definitely got their act together today, and we're excited. We have a few more witnesses coming today. We don't know exactly all their names, but we do know that Andrea Parker is going to take the stand today. Let me if they get through everyone, but Andrea Parker is planning on taking the stand today if they get through all their witnesses. The government, the way they're acting, they are really going over these witnesses, taking their time, asking questions that are not necessary at all, but so they may drag it on longer just because of their cross-examination of the witness. Let me let Andrea say a few things here.
Okay, so when we went in, Shannon Bushman, he took some of the photos that they brought in already without him being in the room. I think he took some of the photos that the FBI agents pulled in. They, in direct examination, asked him after he had heard Cliven and the sheriff speak, what he believed he heard after that. There was an objection, and they said that he cannot get into that. Later on, he continues to be direct examined by Marchese, and the judge stops and says, I'm going to reverse my last ruling and allow it, because she said he needed to reword it, but she would allow it. So that was the first time that we've seen her actually giving us some love. He said on multiple times that he was on the northbound bridge, and there was only 8 to 10 people there. There was trucks with 30-ish men, the BLM trucks, and they were ready for war, army men in green suits. He was surprised because the sheriff said that they were gone. Then he went over to the southbound bridge, and he said, all the BLM Park Service, I was not sure who they were, and they looked like they were getting ready to have a war. Then he talks about he was taking pictures from over there, and they pointed their weapons at him 3 different times. And he said, well, I can see down there that they have binoculars. So if they were trying to view and see if I had a gun or not, they could have done that with binoculars, but here they are pointing weapons at me 3 different times. And he said he was very scared about that, and it was making him nervous.
He even asked some tourists to leave because of it. That the prosecutors mentioned that, why didn't you ask people down in the wash to leave if you were scared? He said, well, I did ask people to leave around me. I wasn't down in the wash. I asked people to leave that were behind me and near me, and there were some tourists that had stopped along the interstate to take pictures or see what was going on, and he did ask them to leave.
They asked him if he had a weapon, and he did not have a weapon. He only had his camera, which he said at multiple times he turned sideways so that they could see that it was a camera. He said that he kept getting more scared the multiple times that they were pointing at him. He should have figured out that they did not, or that they should have figured out he did not have a gun. At one point he said he was looking for a place to hide if they started shooting because of them pointing their weapons at him, and he was worried that he would break his camera if he was forced to jump over the barrier to get out of the line of fire. I thought that was really great. When they went into cross-examination, they really tried to confuse everyone by putting up pictures. You know, he says the BLM they were dressed like militants. He couldn't tell if they were BLM or Park Service, and that they were ready for war. So they start showing pictures, and every picture he said, well, I couldn't see that. I didn't see that person. But it didn't matter because they still said, well, what is this person wearing? Does it look like they're ready for war? And on at least one occasion he said, well, no, that guy's wearing a short sleeve shirt and a ball cap, and the other guys have helmets.
He said it's not apples to apples here.
Exactly.
Definitely not apples to apples. He says, I'm seeing when they're wearing these uniforms, he said these unidentified officers, maybe the BLM officers or park rangers, I'm not for sure which one they are, but they had helmets on, like riot gear and different things, and he said that's not apple to apples. The people that you're seeing on the bridge had short sleeve shirts, baseball caps, they might have been holding a gun, but they looked like just ordinary people.
Another thing that they said is they were really hounding him if he could hear what was being announced over the loudspeakers. And he kept saying, no, I couldn't hear. I could only hear a mumbled noise. And he, as well as Dennis Michael Lynch did before, gave an example that was like, and that's what they could hear. And multiple times they played videos and they're like, could you hear what they were saying? And even in the videos, he's like, no, I can't hear that. And they play it again and he's like, no, I can't make it out. So they really tried to punch holes in his story. Then at one point he was asked if he knew if they were aiming the weapons at something behind him, trying to say that they were aiming the weapons possibly at the people on the northbound bridge that were behind him. If you look at the two bridges, they are offset. So there's absolutely no way with him on the complete left-hand side that they were pointing at the people on the bridge on the right, because it's up from that. And he said, no, I know they aimed directly at me multiple times. He said if they were trying to aim at something behind me, they were aiming at traffic, truck drivers, and tourists, because there was no way that they were aiming at anything behind him. Then they talked more about what he could hear and the fact that the people were moving up towards the gate, but the BLM never actually moved up towards the gate. I believe they're trying to say, oh, well, the protesters were continually trying to come forward and the BLM weren't, but I believe that the BLM's weapons and everything, they were prepared to shoot longer distances, so they did not need to actually move forward to achieve what they were doing.
So we got through our first witness of the day. We tried to bring in the second witness. It'd be Agent or Ranger Carpenter. They kept calling him either Agent or Ranger, so we're not exactly sure, at least I'm not, but at least Ranger Carpenter. He was not available for the defense at the moment, so we ended up going into recess for lunch. So we're not for sure why that Ranger Carpenter wasn't available, but hopefully after lunch we'll have him on. We've made it through lunch with only one witness so far that the defense has had. I don't see how we're going to get all of our witnesses in today and a half a day tomorrow, because we don't start court tomorrow till 11 o'clock. If we have them 10, 12 witnesses that we think that we possibly have today and tomorrow, there's no way to get through them all. So I don't know if the government's going to shut us down early or they're going to allow us to have more days next week. But right now, I don't see how this is going to get done, especially with Eric Parker's testimony. His is not going to be a short testimony. There's no way that his is going to take a half hour or just a few minutes. We need several hours of testimony from him alone. So this could play out longer than we're thinking. We don't know. We're just here observing the court. We're trying to figure out what they're thinking, and hopefully we get out the message that we're needing to get out, and the defense team gets these answers answered to the jurors properly before they go into deliberation. That's about all we have for now.
Hey, one more thing.
One more thing.
I would like to thank everyone that has come down. The courtroom is full. It's not completely full. There's room for more space, but the presence of everyone is huge. The look on the defendants' faces as they're looking out into the crowd in the morning, it is giving them the faith to continue this fight. And I can't thank each and every person that watches the live streams, that spreads the word, and that has come down here. What you're doing is helping us, so thank you.
We had another gentleman come all the way from West Virginia to be a part of this trial. He's going to be here about a week. And I can't think of everyone who's came from everywhere, but we've got people from all over the country, as far from Mexico, New Mexico.
Not
How
too
you
old,
doing?
but the new.
So we've got people from all over here that's been coming down here and being a part of this. It's awesome. Even from, I'm going to mention that guy again from Colombia, South America came. Someone came from Alaska this week. So we've got people from Illinois, even surrounding states. So thank you everyone for coming and keep showing up. We've got several more days of court and we welcome everyone.
And I would like to also say that we had ABC News down here. It was Tom from ABC News came and did an interview, and he cut us up a little bit, but he represented us well. We were on the news last night at 6 o'clock all over in Las Vegas. They played it again, and they played it again at 6 this morning, and the guys in Pahrump actually saw us on the news at 6 o'clock this morning. So that's amazing. We're getting a little bit of mainstream media. Those calls out to have them show something for this trial worked, and we're gaining something. So thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Awesome.
So thanks again. We'll be back about 5 o'clock. Hopefully that time frame could change back and forth depending on when we get out of court here this afternoon. But thanks again. God bless. Keep praying and get some more boots down here on the ground.
Let's hear everybody today.
This is America right there. America, guys. On three. Freedom. 1, 2, 3. Freedom! Freedom!
Yes.
Say peace.
Peace.
X marks the spot, everybody.
Terrible shadow.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're back down here at Las Vegas Federal Courthouse again. Today's been a good day. We started out with a prayer out there in the lobby of the courthouse, and we from out there at the standoff during the 11th and 12th, and some of those pictures and stuff were played today, and he was cross-examined by the prosecution pretty heavily. I would say his examination from them took longer than what the defense actually questioned him. But he done very well. He answered the questions professionally. And, have a great crowd here. We have close to 40 people in the courtroom again today. And people as far as from West Virginia today again. Some newcomers that showed up. We did have our first witness today of the defense side since the trial started, and we had a great witness, Shannon Bushman. He took a lot of videos, and we're very excited today how things are going. The defense team is on ball this morning. They are definitely got their act together today, and we're excited. We have a few more witnesses coming today. We don't know exactly all their names, but we do know that Andrea Parker is going to take the stand today. Let me if they get through everyone, but Andrea Parker is planning on taking the stand today if they get through all their witnesses. The government, the way they're acting, they are really going over these witnesses, taking their time, asking questions that are not necessary at all, but so they may drag it on longer just because of their cross-examination of the witness. Let me let Andrea say a few things here.
Okay, so when we went in, Shannon Bushman, he took some